S.H. FIGUARTS Samurai Sword was released on the 25th of July and retails for 7,700 yen, or roughly 65 US dollars. At the current currency conversion rate, I pre-ordered my copy through HobbyLink Japan, and I'll have the link in the description below. But your usual import retailers like Army and Amazon Japan should still have this one in stock if you're still looking for one yourself. So the Chainsaw Man series of figures have got to be one of my favorite new lines this year. I know it's still early in the game, but both Chainsaw Man and Power were straight up bangers, with Samurai Sword proving that 3 is really a charm. It's the first villain we get in the line, and probably the only one we will see in a while, since most of the antagonists in the Chainsaw Man anime and manga take on forms which are a little too unconventional to translate into 6-inch action figure form. Samurai Sword makes the most sense, and engineering wise is probably the easiest to do, as this is essentially a heavy restructured Chainsaw Man base body, and I say that as a compliment. Samurai Sword takes all the awesome from this figure and gives us a faithful representation of the character with all the articulation you would want to go along with it. There were a couple of things that caught my eye upon opening this bad boy, but the shoes really stood out to me. Just look at how shiny they are. I guess someone really knows how to take care of them Oxfords. I love all the bloodstains on his swords. You get different random splatters on each blade. All the buttons on his trench coat and Gakuran uniform are also really nicely painted in with this shiny gold. And when we get to the head, which we get two options, I guess you could call one of them a neutral face and the other a shouting, but all the teeth are painted in nicely, and we get all the intricate details in his hat, again with the gold detailing, which carries over to the hilt of his head sword, applied with precision as well. Everything is just beautifully painted, everything is Krispy Kreme donuts, at least for my copy. We also get some very subtle shading around his torso and shoulders. It's really hard to pick up on camera, but when you have it in hand, you can definitely see the color variation. In any case, Samurai Sword has some pretty cool design elements, with the trench coat probably being the biggest challenge to get around in terms of articulation. It's not a wide soft goods coat, but I think this is the next best thing, or I guess if you don't like soft goods, this could be ideal for you. It's a soft plastic that is soft enough to get out of the way when getting Samurai Sword in those dynamic poses. I think the only problem you might have is getting the coat to stay down and not push the figure up when you have him kind of crouching or in a crouching pose. But other than that, I haven't had any issues with posing this guy. In fact, Samurai Sword uses a mix of soft and hard plastics throughout the body. The upper torso is a hard plastic, with the upper part of the trench coat being permanently attached to the back. The shoulders, forearms, and legs are also your traditional hard plastics, but the biceps, lower torso, and the waist use the same softer, more malleable plastic, which allows for maximum range of movement. And this guy can really pose. Samurai Sword, like Chainsaw Man, is just the perfect balance of getting the look right and giving it enough range to pull off all the poses the character is supposed to pull off. Alright, let's take a look at the articulation. So for Samurai Sword, first up is his head, and he looks up a hell of a lot. Blade doesn't even fit in the screen. And he can look down just as well. We have side-to-side rotation and very good tilt as well at the head. Excellent all-round head articulation. Alright, so looking at the shoulders for butterfly joints, we can bring Samurai Sword's shoulders, arms very far in, so that your cross blade action poses are not going to be a problem at all, which is great. Very similar setup to Chainsaw Man. These shoulders do get your 360 rotation and way past 90. It does look a little bit weird there because of that bicep swivel. There is a ball joint there. It's not actually a straight hinge. So you can get it past 90, but it is going to look a little bit strange. But you got that range if you want to use it. Like I said, the bicep swivel here, or the bicep joint here is actually a floating rubber piece, so that's why you get that extra bit of articulation. I really like how they've sculpted in the wrinkles there for the elbow joint. You can see that it's sculpted in there, and he does get very good double jointed elbows. One thing that Samurai Sword has over Denji, or Chainsaw Man, is that his wrist can swivel, which is great. Something that I appreciate, and something that I guess they couldn't really do with Chainsaw Man because he doesn't actually have sleeves, but because this guy does have sleeves, you can rotate his hands at the base of the blade, which I think really helps. You do actually have a swivel there at the elbow as well. So if you want to use that, you can use that. But the swivel there is at the base of the blade, which is great. So looking at the ab articulation, like I said before, the upper part of the torso is a hard plastic, but the lower half here, the ab and the crotch, actually no, the crotch is hard, but the actual ab section here is very, very malleable. And you've got all these pouches there on his belt, but they are held on there by ball joints, so you can actually swivel them or move them out of the way. He's got more pouches, as you can see at the back here. And again, you can swivel them out of the way, so it's not going to be a problem. I haven't had any of them pop off, but I guess if you do push it, I guess a little bit too far, or you get Samurai Sword in a crouching pose that pushes the pouches a little bit out of its limits, then they are going to pop off. But at the moment, I haven't had any problems. So we do get a very good ab crunch. Look at that. Fantastic. And we do get very good back as well. And they have sculpted in the lower half of his, uniform there. So when you do have him bending back, there is a little bit, like a tiny bit of a gap there, but most of it is covered up, which is great. And again, this jacket, the trench coat here, is made of this softer plastic, so it's not going to get in the way. Again, if you do have him in a crouching pose though, it will push the figure up, so that is something to note. For his legs, we get a very good splits going out, and very good kicking forward. Not so much back because of the way that it's sculpted there at the back. So not too much going back, but we do get a pretty decent forward front kick. And we do have upper thigh swivel on both thighs. Let's get that to focus. And very good double knees. This jacket is getting in the way. Very good double knees. And when we get down to the feet, the foot does bend down very, very nicely. I like that. And it does move up. Not as far, actually no. There we go. You actually have to push it in. You can see there the joint it does move back and forward, so it does allow you to move the foot up a decent amount. We of course have the toe hinge and a very, very generous ankle pivot. Excellent. So all up, fantastic articulation, just like Chainsaw Man. A ton of fun to pose this guy around. The only limit is your, of course, imagination, and this is a pretty crappy pose, but you get my point.
And just like Chainsaw Man, he is very light on the accessories, which, honestly, I don't mind. In addition to the 2 facial expressions, we get 3 sets of hands, a couple of clenched fists, a set of finger curled open palm hands, which will probably be my default, and a pair of relaxed hands. Getting the hands in and out is a matter of splitting the hand in half and tabbing them into the base of each hand blade. It would have been nice to get a power down head, but again, I think I'm okay with what we get. When Tamashii first announced they would be taking on the Chainsaw Man property, the first thing that came to my mind was Amazing Yamaguchi. And I think Chainsaw Man would probably fit Revoltech's extreme articulation layout almost perfectly. But I feel that Tamashii have reached that happy medium with giving you as much articulation as you'd probably want without sacrificing aesthetics. Like their Chainsaw Man release, and I would say their Power release too, I honestly don't have any problems with Samurai Sword at all. Sure, he doesn't come with any powered down parts, but I'm having so much fun with what he comes with, and I don't really feel like I need anything else. SMP Makes Pose will be releasing a model kit version of Samurai Sword with the powered down head and hand options later this month, or next, I'll have to check, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that one compares to the Figuarts. But this figure is great, guys. I really don't have anything else to say except go grab it if you're a fan of Chainsaw Man. He's just loads of fun, and you'll spend hours upon hours posing this around and taking a ton of photos by himself or with Chainsaw Man. I wish I had a better way to close out the review, but it's just a fantastic figure. Highly recommended, and probably on my best releases list for this year. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys back for some Tamashii store exclusive Kid Goku and Orange Piccolo later this month. Hopefully sooner than later. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. See you all in a bit, and yoroshiku!